Alright, what is going on everybody? Captain here, back again with another Marvel Contest Champions video. And as you can see on screen, I got my hands on a rank 5, level 50, 4-star version of Taskmaster at signature level 99. This is of course part of the Content Creators Program, which I was accepted into about a month or so back with and works with Kabam. And by work I mean I'm not getting paid or anything to do this. They simply just reached out to the community, as many of you know, and we're looking for some content creators to review champions before they officially are in the game, to do reviews to release to the general public. So that's what this is, guys. No official affiliation with Kabam on this. Like, I'm not getting paid for this at all. It's just my thoughts, and yeah. So going on with this, many of you are probably wondering at this point, he's in the game, he has a 5-star version. Should I go for him? Is he worth the shards? Should I go for the Grandmaster crystals? Simply put, I don't necessarily think he is worth using the shards on for that, or maybe, I mean, if you have if you're one that likes to open Grandmaster crystals, sure, go for it. But as for the featured 5-star with the shard version, I would rather save my shards for someone better. Just wanted to get that out of the way. So if that's all you wanted to know, feel free to click off the video now, and I'll see you next time. All right, now that we got rid of all those people that don't really care about my opinion, my full opinion about the review on the champion, let's get into Taskmaster. So he is a pretty complex champion. I would say I'd like to compare him to the likes of Ghost Rider, in that he has so many different working things going on here and there that, like, you read through his ability list and you just see this long list of like words and you're just like, what is going on here? But then once you figure them out, it's like, oh, it's actually pretty straightforward and it's pretty easy. So if you haven't seen my Realm of Legends fight yesterday, I posted that. I posted like late last night, early morning for some of you. You can see that, but I'll show that again, clips of that, and break it down like how it works exactly. So alright, so let's go ahead and get into his abilities here. So the main thing with him is you want to be exploiting the enemy's weaknesses. When they activate on screen, it'll tell you which one you need to do. The way it works is there's a little cooldown timer going in the corner, and whenever that expires, the very last attack that the enemy used, whether it's a medium attack, a heavy attack, a special 2, whatever it is, you have 10 seconds to then do that same attack, which will trigger the exploit weakness debuff. And it inflicts a direct damage. You can see right here, 932 damage for exploiting a weakness. It prevents the enemy from any passive evades or auto blocks. So if you're using that enemy, trying to exploit a certain weakness, so say you're playing against Spider-Man, he uses a heavy attack, and then you go to use a heavy attack, if he won't have a chance to evade during that time because you're trying to exploit that certain weakness. You have only 10 seconds again to exploit that certain weakness, otherwise it'll go into a cooldown timer, and then the next debuff will pop up. You can reset the cooldown timer by using a heavy attack, and so then the next you can exploit the next weakness once the enemy uses an attack toward you, so it'll be the last, again, the last attack he used. A lot of words there, and trying to talk kind of fast, but I'll show this in actual gameplay so that it makes more sense. A couple of other things that he can do. He has some slight ability reduction that I just haven't really seen very useful much. It doesn't seem to do much. He has an ability to become completely immune to all debuffs if he gets hit by basically 10 or more, because each time he gets hit by a debuff, he has a potency reduction of 10%. So once you've been hit by 10, you're at 100%. Heavy attacks, like I said, they reset the cooldown timer. There is a cool thing where right after you've triggered an exploit weakness, you have 1 second, exactly, only 1 second, super quick, to use a heavy attack to reset the cooldown timer, so you don't have to wait what I think it's 10 seconds or so for the cooldown. No, only 5 seconds for the cooldown, but you won't have to wait that 5 seconds. You can exploit the next weakness pretty much instantly. Special 1 and 2 are basically the same, but one is bleed and one is for armor break. So he inflicts 173 direct damage per debuff triggered on the opponent this fight, max damage after 10 debuffs. So each time you use the special 1, that bleed damage is going to be getting stronger and stronger, and as well as this attack gains 403 attack for each debuff active on either Taskmaster or his opponent. So, and these, when you exploit a weakness, it counts as, or exploit a, yeah, when you exploit a weakness, it counts as a debuff. So that will count toward adding this attack to this damage. That might be part of his Awaken ability. I'm not totally sure. I'll get to that in a second. Special 2 is the same thing, but with Armor Break. And then the Special 3, the main thing here is it instantly exploits whatever weakness is active. So say the enemy had used a light attack. You use the Special 3, and that'll basically count as you have been using a light attack. So it triggers that exploited weakness, and then that goes toward your total count of the weaknesses. So the main thing also with him, or not the main thing, but the next thing with him is his Awaken ability. So with his Awaken ability, it makes it so these are more worthwhile if you're stacking them up, because you can, they can very rarely, without him being awakened, you can't really stack them up very much, and you can't get to this crazy damage. I shouldn't say crazy damage, but he can do some pretty insane damage. I guess insane is basically the same as crazy. Anyways, you can stack these up, and you can get it, if you can get it up to 5, it'll detonate a huge weakness, so he'll get a 50% ability reduction on the enemy, and this lasts for 15 seconds. And then the cooldown timer for exploiting weaknesses goes away for that 15 seconds. So anytime the enemy uses an attack, you can immediately do that same one right away for 15 seconds. You'll get the direct damage dealing, plus obviously the hits for that attack. So you'll see in the gameplay with the Special 1, this really can do quite a lot of damage, is what I was referring to. So yeah, that kind of quickly went through all of his stuff. A couple things too, before I jump off of his page, I'll show his stats here. His tags, he's Control, Denial, Mercenary, and Thunderbolts. So interesting, I thought he would have, I think he's a villain, so I thought he would have the villain tag there, so that's kind of interesting to note. His ratings here, if you want to see him as percentages, there you go. So yeah, that's his attack. Let's check out his synergies. Synergies are pretty cool. So with Taskmaster and Hawkeye, if Taskmaster's current exploit weakness target is a special attack, all of his special attacks become unblockable. So if the current exploit weakness you need to do is a Special 1, if you use your Special 1, it's going to be unblockable. Same thing for the Special 2. So that's actually really cool, and you'll see that come into play in the audio, in the video file in a second. Special 3, for Hawkeye, gains a 100% chance to trigger an hemorrhage without counting toward Hawkeye's hemorrhage activation limit. So if you're not familiar with Hawkeye, once he's awakened, he has a chance once per fight to activate a really strong bleed, and it's called the hemorrhage. With this synergy, he can activate that multiple times throughout by using a Special 3, and I've tested it out myself. Put a screenshot on screen right here. You can see that they do stack if you use multiple Special 3s, as well as I used it on I activated the Special 3 and then got his normal hemorrhage from using a special. So that's kind of cool. But I did notice that the hemorrhage damage from this one, from activating the Special 3, doesn't do nearly as much damage as his normal one does. So I don't know if that's a bug or if that was intended. So yeah, it's kind of something we'll have to see moving forward. With Winter Soldier, his current exploit weakness target attack has a 20% chance to become unblockable. So this is basically the same thing as Hawkeye, but for the basic attacks, I believe. And then his synergy with Winter Soldier, Winter Soldier's EMP upgrade gains a flat 5% chance to trigger, so his chance to power drain is increased a little bit, which is good for Winter Soldier users. Moon Knight, a 30% chance to evade against current exploit weakness target. I haven't tested this out, but it sounds kind of interesting. I personally hate playing with auto evade champions, so it sounds like if medium attack is the exploit weakness up, if this champion uses another medium attack against you, then you have a 30% chance to evade that. So I don't see it being too important. So for Moon Knight, all of Moon Knight's Moon Phase abilities gain a flat 10% chance of trigger. Who really uses Moon Knight? Crossbones, this is another one that I think is pretty good. So I think this one and then the Hawkeye one are probably the two best ones. So for Crossbones, instantly gain 5% of his max power each time he exploits a weakness. So once you do that, that's pretty self-explanatory. And then Crossbones, entering Overrun resets the duration of active Fury buffs. Sounds pretty cool. I haven't tested it out myself. If you have a bunch of Furies active on yourself, on your Crossbones, you put him in Overrun, then he'll reset that timer so you get all those to last a lot longer. So that could be something pretty cool. Obviously, it would help a lot in Road to the Labyrinth. So that's going to do it for Taskmaster here. Now I'm going to run over to, well, not literally run, but show some of the clips from the Realm of Legends Winter Soldier fight that I posted yesterday and kind of show you guys on screen how this all works. Alright, so you'll see for my synergy team, I have 3 of the 4. I took out Moon Knight of the synergies with Taskmaster, threw in Black Widow to also get the power gain synergy as well, so that felt like this would be a pretty strong team to show with. So you'll see right off the bat, when this loading screen finishes, right when the fight starts, that timer starts going in the top left. So when this gets ready to expire, you'll notice his last attack he just used there was a medium attack. So then it pops up and says exploit weakness medium. So now my next attack I want to do was a medium. I used the medium attack, it put the concussion on him, and then we move forward with the fight. And so now I'm just waiting until that cooldown timer to go. I could have used a heavy here, but I did not to reset it, but now I use a special 1. So I use my special 1. Concussion is up to 2 now. I got the bleed going there. Again, it just expired. Use a special 1. Use a special 1. So you kind of see how this kind of plays out, and you can see the unblockable came up there because of the Hawkeye synergy. Now I have to do a light attack. That's probably that light attack and the medium attack are the 2 easiest ones to exploit. And again, there we go, special 3. I got the 5th one, and you can see right there. Look at the damage that is dealt when here on here once I've exploited the 5th weakness from the special 2. I'm doing direct damage, 2,000, like 2,600 each hit. And so that hits a couple times, which is a pretty insane damage for this champion. It really makes him a lot more fun to play with when you can get to this point, but it does take some time to exploit it. This was definitely a very best case scenario where I got this right off the bat, and I was pretty happy with how that turned out. Alright, so moving forward in the fight, I have 4 concussions on. The next one is a heavy that I need to do. I'm not able to get it, so it restarts, but the heavy is the current exploit weakness, so I still get it off there. Now the next one is medium, so I get a medium off. So now I'm kind of waiting. Now I want him to use his special 1. I kind of baited out so that it is the next weakness because I knew he wouldn't get pushed to his special 1, so that special 2. So I wanted to use my special 1 to get the next one there. That's kind of some of the planning in that I see with him that kind of comes into play. There I used the heavy. You can see it automatically restarted the timer, and the next one popped up, which was a light. So now I've got the 5 stacks on there. So now whenever I exploit a weakness, it's going to be doing 5 times the damage. Because of the direct damage is going to be doing 5 times. Because of the abilities, from the special ability, it makes it so that it counts as 5 debuffs and the attack is increased. So you can see now anytime I exploit a debuff, it's going to be doing more damage. So there you have it, full review on Taskmaster. I think I've covered just about everything with the champion. Overall, I find him very fun and very fun to play. Like I said at the beginning, he kind of reminds me of a lot as like Ghost Rider, as hopefully you can kind of see the relation in the way that you kind of need to plan out which attacks you're going to use when, and you really need to be paying attention. You need to use them at the right time. And then you can just kind of rinse and repeat the whole process and everything. But yeah, he's fun. Do I think he has a spot in the game in Alliance Quest, Alliance War? Not maybe necessarily. Defensively, he might with his debuff immune thing if he gets hit by enough of the debuffs. But again, I don't know. I don't see him being a champion that's going to be used a crazy amount in much content, but I might be missing something, guys. If you think he has a spot in the game, if you already have him, if you tested him out, let me know what you think. If there's anything I missed, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to get a video out about it while I still have him. But yeah, that's going to do it for my Taskmaster review, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.